Hello everyone. Today we're going to be reviewing the Strength Power DX vs Harpocrates series from the recent Season 26 tournament. So this is a best of three ultimately, but Harpo won both games, so he proceeded forward, and that was actually kind of a bit of an upset because I think a lot of people were expecting DX to win. And actually, I haven't seen these games before. So as I'm reviewing here, this will be my first time seeing every single play here, and so that should be kind of interesting. I'll try and give some insight into what ultimately led to Harp winning. So I'll go ahead and start here. So it starts off with Harp's turn, so turn zero for him. He opens up getting top control, staying towards the top of the map and treeing. DX immediately goes to side hide. He has a good side here to work with, so he has good cover here, and then he also has a tree here to protect from mail. Harp just flight prots. Good setup. So DX is setting up a swarm. He's immediately playing more for late game. I think he's got more of a generic mix here. Moves the swarm up, probably flashes down. Okay, he's got arc bomb. So he has arc bomb, so I'm immediately thinking he probably has a flightless book. I would guess like Cog Tower flightless with prot shield. Harp's digging inward as well because he wants to give him some room to move around while moving away from auras and moving away from Skyray. Right. So here I'm immediately favoring Harp's position because DX is kind of stuck to the side. I think with the Totem Arma, it's never ideal to be sitting on the side. But DX is going to try his best to sort of clear some room here. So he's arc bombing to make some space. They're really kind of in a setup phase right now. They're both getting their prot shields up, but um, they both want to make as much position as possible. I would guess Harp starts flashing inwards here as well. Does he kill us? Okay, no. Yeah, so Harp's flashing in. Maybe he does another Pebble. Okay, DX has Blood Bank. I suspect they both have Blood Bank, yeah. So nothing really interesting has happened yet here. This is all boilerplate setup. How many turns does this go to? 49. So this is a pretty quick game. This is probably, I would have to imagine, something very explosive is going to happen pretty soon here. Okay, DX is sort of messing with Harp's position a little bit, but right there, a totem spawns on DX. That's not good for him because he's zoned off with the aura. Another totem. That's a little unlucky. We'll see what DX does here. He can always jump his bank into the aura. Okay, so he's just gonna opt to clear the totems. Good play. I think here he could get his swarm in position as well to help out with some later totems, but maybe he just wants to cover this area a little bit. Oh no. Okay, that is very big momentum swing right there. So DX just sunk himself. Okay. Oh, anti. Yep, so his bank's on him. It's going to stack him, and now Harp can aura the whole stack if he wants to. I think here I would have just stacked. Oh, but does it sink? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. In 10 seconds, Harp can get there very easily. Yeah. So at this point, it's looking like it's already probably over. DX is going to spawn with about 70 HP, maybe less. Yeah, 68 HP. Harp can go up. He probably has Skyray. He'll Skyray him over. DX is going to have to start with 18 HP. And at this point, especially on Totem, there's not a lot of opportunity for recovering from a position like this. I mean, this is honestly on any set, this would be a very hard position to recover from. See what Harp does here, probably Pebbles. Yeah, at this point, it's just Harp chipping away at DX's position until he can close. This probably gets a few hits and one hit. Flash out. DX is getting some HP from his blood bank, but it's probably not going to be enough. Harp can just really pressure him here. Mega Boulder. Yep. No more blood bank either, so DX can't resume healing. If he has Sky Ray, oh no, this Swarm's stopping it. So, Harp had Portal, he could port over here. That's a pretty good portal. That's pretty unlucky with the totem. But even then, it's a very rough position for DX here. Harp here, he can just draw it. Okay, he's going for a bit of a final play here. Now Harp, he can fly up to like here, and he'll be safe. Or he can just, okay, yeah, that's good too. Stay out of the aura. Okay, at this point, he can go through the portal and close it with a pebble. Right, that was a pretty short game there, but let's go ahead and head into the second game. DX vs Harp, game two. Well, now we're in the second game. Harp starts off with first turn again. So I will say first turn's not a huge advantage in low times, but it is still an advantage. So immediately it's going to be a little, immediately DX is a little bit of a disadvantage here. Harp's going to go in with a series of traps, starting with the tree. DX does not teleport, mud balls. This is all very standard so far. DX just towers. Harp goes back and prots. So DX doesn't run Cog Air usually, so he probably doesn't even have to go over there. Yeah, that's good. DX, I probably Mudball Harp here. Oh, okay. He has Collision Course, so that's actually really good for him. Harp can go down here, and he'll be reasonably safe. Okay, Cog Towers in an aura, so he's just trying to stay underground here because he knows DX has Collision Course. He can't really contest top like that, but he doesn't want to go to the sides either. Keeps DX's prot shields down. Probably heads over. DX is probably going to go over and pebble him, I guess. Or tower again. Yeah, tower again. So DX now has an option to move over and pebble him right over here. Or just pebble straight down as well. That works. Okay, blood bank's out of the way. It's not a great mud ball, but it's probably workable. Now here, if I'm Harp, I might try to stand right here and shoot a Mega Boulder up here, such that the first piece of the Mega Boulder hits right here. And then the Swarm will die, the 4 hits of the Mega Boulder will all go into the mud and do full damage to DX. It will take 2 hits to detower him, but then the remaining 2 hits will hit him, and he should be safe as well. It's even safer if he stands over here, but honestly, I think either option is fine. I don't think he gets hit in either case. Let's see what he does. He probably Okay, he just decides to drain instead. I think there was an option to Mega Boulder there. That would have been really good. Okay, so Harp's probably just going to go back and prot or tower. Okay, tower. Right now, I'm favoring DX's position. I think DX is a stronger position. Um, DX's bank is trapped though. That's important because it means it's going to eventually die to totem, and DX is going to lose a turn of tempo. He does free himself and kill Harp's blood bank, which gives him some tempo, but Harp has a free move here. DX can easily engage. He's going to try to engage, but it's really hard to get a good pebble off there. Kills the bank though, but that gives Harp 25 HP. Okay, Mega didn't fully succeed there, so oh, that's a rough mud ball. If I'm DX here, okay, this is interesting. So DX didn't clock there, which likely means he's not bringing clock or Pinecone or any other high damage spell. So his book has a bit of a weakness in that sense. It means the highest strike damage he can do is really Whisper Arrow, but he's got to be careful with his uses of those. Whisper Bomb is kind of his best consistent spell. And honestly, in this situation, I might have even been inclined to use Whisper Arrow instead, because the sides are already out of play here for Harp. Like he can't hide to either side, and Whisper Arrow would get DX another 15 HP ahead. But Whisper Bomb here is fine as well. We'll knock it to the aura. So Harp is now pretty far behind. He's probably gonna tower over here, over to the side. So DX, if I'm DX here, I might Mudball. Okay, he has Collision Course, so that's actually a fine play. And Harp with Collision Course, yeah, that's reasonable. That tree should absorb the full Collision Course. So he's gonna get Bank out, try and set up again. He's gonna say, okay, I'm fine if DX kills the Blood Bank because he wants the HP back ultimately. Of course, not having the bank up means you can't get HP from the totems. DX definitely has a strong lead here. Um, like, I would say game-winning lead ultimately, unless Harp can recover. So Harp's going to go to the side here to try and recover. DX is going to use one of his Whisper Arrows to try and get some pressure on Harp. There's a totem above, so okay, now two totems. So now Harp has to immediately address this totem, and this totem's still going to be a problem later on. DX says, okay, you have all this pressure on you. You've got to deal with this totem. I'm just going to prot shield. He's not worried about being Sky right here. That was a really bad Swarm summon. This Swarm's going to get killed, yeah. So that was basically a Q right there. Harp says, okay, this area is going to be available later, so I'm just going to prepare for it. And it should be available on this turn. This totem will, yeah, the aura will go away. Harp can go inside the portal. He is in a position where a pebble could be really annoying for him. And that's okay. So DX just says, I'm going to start by worrying. It's a decent play. The problem here is that now either the bank dies or uh, Harp has to eat another aura because only one can go through the portal. And DX starts pressuring him immediately. Bank's going to die here unless Harp can get it out. No, he can't. So DX might engage here. Interesting. DX didn't go through the portal. I think this highlights an issue with DX's book here. Without having, if he had clock, then I think the knockback plus with the cog on the side would be enough to maybe even sink Harp here if he had went through the portal. Because he doesn't have clock, he can't even entertain that option. So I think this highlights like it's going to be difficult for DX to pressure and actually win this game, especially with only one remaining Whisper Arrow. Harp here is not in as bad of a position as he looks. Okay, Totem eats the aura, so DX still has this portal on the table if he wants to go into it. He's got to be careful about this AoE right here, because it's eventually going to start interacting with him. That this is a problematic. What turn are we on? So we're on turn 30 right now. This is a bit of a problematic tower because this Totem Aura at this stage in the game should be able to reach him no matter what. I think it will get two more expansions, and then it will hit him. And so ultimately, DX basically towered here slash prodded for nothing because that last totem hit is going to be the strongest. And it leaves Harp in a very good position. And this also kind of highlights like how difficult it is to play flightless on this map because it's very hard for DX to engage. I think if he had brought clock, if he had brought clock, he might have been in a better spot. But without that, it's gonna be very difficult to engage. Okay, so he gets a bank out. That bank is trapped, by the way. You see, so Totem still has one more, uh, can expand one more time, and DX will not be able to cog tower out of the way. And in fact, even his blood bank's at risk. I think if he put it all the way to the top, he might have a chance at saving it. But I would not have summoned a bank in a trapped position. I think on this map, you never want to summon banks to where they're already trapped. So let's see what happens here. Will DX move the bank? If he doesn't, I think it will die to the totem. Hard to tell, but I think it will. And right here, DX is jumping into an area where he is going to get hit by this totem. So right here, the bank died from this totem, and DX is going to get hit here by this totem. So I definitely don't think DX should have moved over to this area. It's very risky. Okay, so Harp's gonna fly away and probably tree in. Okay, he's just gonna get a spirit out. That's also a good play. Although not ideal because then DX can just start swarming the spirit and ultimately basically get a free turn. That's kind of just delayed a little bit in terms of when he can go into the portal. Will he see that though? Will he go put the okay? So he doesn't put the swarm on the spirit immediately. Okay, spirit dies anyways to the totem, but he needs to be doing something with that swarm. Okay, the swarm just dies here. I think ideally he would have kept it on the portal. So this looks like a decent play. DX just Whisper Arrows Harp here, but he used up his second Whisper Arrow, and that's going to be a problem for him later on. Because now he doesn't have Clock, Pine Cone, or Whisper Arrow. He doesn't have any direct damage. He's flightless, and his only other direct damage is Whisper Bomb, which has a uh, limited range. So he's flightless. He's playing against a flighted player with a limited range attack ability that he most likely will not be able to use in many situations, as long as Harp plays high enough to where DX can't reach him. So I'd immediately say this situation is favoring Harp, actually. Now, we don't know if DX has Mega Boulder. If he does, he still has some closing potential, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle from here. Not a huge fan of this cog tower because Harp's inevitably going to get hit by these totems. I think maybe if he had teleported somewhere down here, he might have been safer. Of course, the risk there is DX teleporting on him, but he would still have cog tower to free himself, and then tree off DX as well. But inevitably, he's going to have to get out of the cog tower. He's probably just going to go into this portal, and now DX is not going to have any Whisper Arrows to attack him. So right now, DX really doesn't have any offensive options here. He really can only play defensive. He could also he could start trying to pebble down, but at this point he's got these totems to deal with. This totem's gonna pop. DX is probably gonna get detowered very soon here. I think on maybe on his next turn he gets detowered. Yeah. DX is going to try and make his way over to this area, but he's still gonna get hit by this totem, and the damage increases as the totem aura sort of goes out more. So he's going to take a lot of damage here. Yeah, he took almost 100 damage there, is what it looked like. So Harp can now just capitalize. Harp's already in a better position because DX wasn't able to capitalize with his lack of offensive options, direct damage offensive options. So DX is going to be playing from behind here already. And yeah, at this point, Harp's just trying to do whatever he can to pressure on a DX. He can go in now and pebble him. He's getting more prod out. DX is getting banked to try and recover again, but it's still very much an uphill battle. And at this point, I would say DX is really has to play for a draw. There aren't really a whole lot of win cons here. Harp's already at 350 HP. Even if he has Mega Boulder, he cannot get rid of all of Harp's HP, and he does not have enough uh, area control to be able to force Harp into totems. Harp can just move around it in flight. He's not worried about the totem auras. Here, Harp can just kill the swarm or just ignore it, honestly. Okay, or Mega Boulder. Also a good option. Okay, Harp makes a smart play here to teleport out so that DX can't just keep mudding him and forcing him into the totem aura. So now at this point, Harp has a clear opening. There's no totem aura to deal with. If I'm DX here, I would try and mud again. Harp's just probably going to flash forward and just keep applying damage. Okay, so he just tries to make sure DX can't hit him. Now right here, okay, um, Harp can just keep pressuring him with Pebble, and DX is going to run out of Mud Balls at a certain point. That's either his last or second to last. They haven't fully kept count, but he's either out or almost out. So what does DX do here? Okay, that is his last Mud Ball. But the thing is, DX is going to get hit by this Totem Aura. And this really highlights, like, positioning on this map is very tricky. Like, if DX didn't really have a whole lot of options to stay here, it would take, like, a really, really hard Mud Ball to thread it through this little piece through this little area right here. But there's not really a whole lot of places to stand over on this side because of this Totem Aura. So DX's best chance at this point would have probably been to teleport out, but I think here we're going to see DX lose because he's going to take a lot of damage from that totem. Okay, yeah, so he takes another 40 right there. His HP is getting very low. So now he's trying to just run away. Harp probably has probably a Sky Ray if he wanted to, but he's just going to move over directly. Okay, not the most ideal positioning because Harp's going to get hit by this totem. But the turn that he gets hit on is okay because it means DX can't flash him or arc bomb him off or anything like that. Harp's just gonna proceed towards DX here. He could probably drain him off or clock him off. Many options there actually. And so yeah, at this point it's pretty much over. With a flightless book, DX doesn't really have a whole lot of recovery. He needs too many turns. He would need to get bank out to have a chance. He doesn't have any mud balls here, so there's not really anything DX can do to stall. He can probably just go in the water. Yeah, he goes in the water, but you can't even teleport over here. Yeah, so very interesting series. I think to a certain degree, having flightless and no direct attacking abilities can be very limiting. So it kind of highlights how difficult it is to build like a really good book for this map uh, that is capable of beating just a generic type of book. But yeah, very interesting series. Hope you all enjoyed.